3 seconds. Entertain them, Kennedy. Make them happy.
I'll juggle invisible balls.
Can you actually juggle?
No, I can't juggle.
Okay, well then that's setting them up for disappointment. But
Well,
that's
no, I was in juggling invisible balls. People would have believed that I could
anyone-
juggle.
Yeah,
I just
they
did
would
that.
have.
That's what you do, isn't it?
You look like someone who could juggle.
Yeah.
I actually, I have an ex-boyfriend who was a really good juggler, and that was very surprising because like of all people, I wouldn't have expected him. So I don't know what makes. Well, I'm not going to stereotype. You look crafty, and that to me is someone who I think crafty, creative.
Oh, I see. I think it's the specs, isn't it?
You've got new specs, no? They're not
I have 3 different pairs.
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll change them throughout.
Oh,
Keep you on your toes.
Someone watching, say hello to us. Say hello. That's demanding, isn't it? I could just say hello to them. Hello. So I'll do an intro. Joined by Kennedy from Email Marketing Heroes, and luckily it says that on your label, I guess. So no guesses. And some background. I'd been following Kennedy for quite a number of years. I say a number of years, it was probably like a year and a bit. But I really liked Kennedy's content. So go to Email Marketing Heroes. I mean, it's so easy to find. Great content, really connecting, really vibrant, definitely akin to Rebellious. I just loved him. And Cordelia spoke on stage at AdCon last year, repping Rebellious Business at AdCon. And Kennedy was one of the speakers. And when I looked through the list of speakers, and there's some good speakers as well, I was like, Kennedy's here. Oh my goodness. I was so excited. And I was like, and we actually had a call during Kennedy's slot. And I was like, I'm not going to be there. Sorry, I'm not doing it. So Cordelia took it in the hotel room. And I was like, I'm watching Kennedy. And so
I didn't know this. This is new information.
Is it new? I think I told you that I was like, I'd followed you. Like I was so excited.
Yeah, but the fact you ditched a call or something, that's funny.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was so chuffed. And then we got to go in the green room. Actually, it wasn't green at all, but that's what it's called.
No, I've never been in a green room ever.
Well, it was we were in the green room.
Yeah, but I've never been into a green room.
Oh, a green room. Yeah, okay. Well, I went into the green room. Kennedy was there. I was like, oh, I'm making friends with Kennedy. And so I made friends with Kennedy. And we even kind of adopted you. You kind of came along on our night out as well. And I mean, it was everyone's night out, but you joined us. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Where was that?
We went for that meal. And do you remember I took a picture on a Puma shoe box.
I remember at the top of that building.
We had a little rampage around Acton. I think it was Acton, White City, wherever it was, somewhere in that realm. And then we were at this dinner. You know, Adam Scott was there. Met him. He's a character. There was loads of people. I was kind of harangued by someone who, well, they were talking a lot, and I assumed there might be a reason they were talking a lot, but I won't go into detail about that. But yeah, so that was the story we met. And then, you know what? You've been a very consistent virtual friend.
I'm virtually a friend.
Yeah, you're virtually a friend. Yeah. You always check in. We always have conversations. And I often find those connections can really not last a lot of the time. But I think you stand out as someone who's really maintained a connection with me. We only actually even met in person twice, because then I came to fangirl you at the
Funnelcraft.
Pardon? Funnelcraft, yeah, the neurodivergent one, and that was great. And you were such a good speaker for that as well. But I was like, I know he's going to be so good anyway. He's always going to be good. And yeah, you've stayed so much in contact, even been a guest on the show. So I wanted to bring you back onto one of the lives for the Rebels to meet you once more, but in a completely unscripted, non-curated, non-agendered, open-ended way, because I think you're really interesting. And I'm like, right, I want to probe you and get to know you, and I don't know, and I think it could make for a really nice conversation. So yeah, that's the intro, Rebels.
Well, I'm here. I've done my hair, so I've done my bit.
Yeah, have you toned it? Because it looks like it's been toned.
Yeah, I tone it every couple of days. Yeah.
Every couple days?
Well, no, 4 days. 4-day cycle.
No way.
Mm.
How often do you wash your hair? Right, okay, we're getting
Every
into
day. Every day.
You wash your hair every day.
Yeah, because I'm a bloke. I've got short hair, so I can wash it every day. Because it's got product in. You've got to. Otherwise, I wake up and it's like stuck to my face. I look like
So,
a chick that's been run over.
do you bleach your hair?
It's bleach and a toner
Yeah.
every 4 weeks, and then
So bleach every 4 weeks.
I add a toner every 4 days. This is really, I'm sure, fascinating to everybody.
I'm sorry. Yeah. These are the conversations that I'm having. It's just getting to know people, right? Who knows on people out of people that watch you on social media that you tone your hair every 4 days?
I've never mentioned it before. I don't
This
think
is
so. There you
see,
go.
we get
I
to the
also,
root of who you are.
but that's not the strangest thing about me. I could tell you some very strange things.
Well, I'm excited to unpack, but I tell you why, because I battle with my hair.
Do you? You
And
always have great hair.
do you think I hate my hair. It's not that I hate it. Oh, we could go into it. It's hard having curly hair because it only really looks good on day 1 or 2. And then it kind of goes a
Is
bit.
it curly or is it wavy?
Well, you tell me. I mean, it depends which bit. Like, look at this guy. Like, that's
That's curly as fuck, isn't it?
yeah, that's a curl. So it depends. Like, it's a bit of both. Like, that's a bit of a curl there, and that's a curl. But then, like, what's that? Like nothing. It's just fluff.
That's somebody else's hair.
That's someone else's hair. Yeah, exactly.
It's
So
like you've got like a wig on top of your hair.
yeah, it's that's why I don't like it, because I don't have you like. There's nothing uniform.
I
So it
think it's
makes
good.
me
It gives you layers. No wrong with that.
Pardon?
It's good.
Layers. Well, so I battle with my hair. I've also, I've went blonde and now it's gone a bit yellow, and I'm like, oh. So I put a toner in it. It didn't really help. So yeah, I was intrigued because
Yeah, and then of course, if you light your place that you do your Zoom calls and stuff in correctly, then it looks, I think, more zingy, more pingy, more
yeah,
zingy, more pingy,
yeah,
than than perhaps it does in real life as well.
because it's white in real life, right?
Yeah, it's really white. I go for white, not yellow or blonde. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's bluey. It looks a bit blue.
Yeah, that might be. I don't know what that is. That's
So
something.
when did you start dyeing your hair white? And why?
I was about 22, 21, 22, and I wanted like an image because I never had one. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to do all this speaking and performing and all this stuff. I needed a brand. I was sat at my friend's.
This is prior to marketing?
Yeah, prior to marketing. This was just marketing my own gigs, doing the comedy mind readery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would combine psychology, body language, statistics with stand-up comedy, and I did that for like 15 years at conferences and stuff like that. So it was people like Yahoo and Royal London and Mars and stuff would hire me and fly me to events and stuff like that to do that. So I did that full time for 15 years. Three shows a week. It was busy. It was great, but it got lonely because I was on my own all the time, right? So, but before I sort of started doing it properly, I thought I need an image, and I was at my I was at a friend of mine, my best friend at the time, a guy called Alex. I was at his house with his parents, and I was like, I need this image. And his mum went out to make a cup of tea or something and came back in, and she put this magazine down in front of me and she said, you should do that. And it was a picture of Billy Idol.
Oh, I'm not very good. Who is right? Let me Google Billy Idol.
Come on, it's because you're young. That's what the problem is.
This is I keep getting discrimination against being young. I'm not that young. I'm 34. Okay, sorry.
It's young. It's young.
Right, fine. Yeah. Okay. I know who Billy Idol is. Right.
Yeah. White wedding, that stuff. So, and I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so I did that for a bit. It was quite like blonde yellow kind of. And I just like, don't really like this blonde yellow thing with my complexion. Yellow doesn't really go well with my skin tone.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what if we went like more white? And then so yeah, that was the experiments I went into in the hair salon. Was like, hi, I want this to be like white, not yellow, not grey, white. So now we've got, I don't even know what it is, like some formula that we've nailed over the years, and that's what we do.
And Okay, so you've gone to one person the whole time?
I have for the past 6 years.
Okay, okay.
And they've moved salon, and I've gone with them.
Okay, so what's your natural hair colour?
Green. No,
Not.
yeah, it's like a mousy brown like this.
Is it like my colour?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
'cause it
nicer.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know what though? Now I'm blonde, I'm like, "Oh, I really miss my natural colour," but I've gone and ruined my hair. So, I'm in now. That's it. There's no point going back natural now. What's the point? I've completely cooked my hair. So, I don't know. Anyway, well, can you do any mind reader stuff on me?
Oh, no, not at all.
Fine.
No, not
That's okay.
yeah.
Is there a reason? Can I ask why?
Yeah, the reason is, 1, I don't do it anymore, and 2, I can't even think of what I would do over this format, because
Yeah, okay.
the problem with the main tricky bit with the mind reading thing is you have to prove that you can't be doing it in any other way than the way you're saying it. Because if I just said to you, "Oh, think of your date of birth," like, it'd be quite
Yeah.
easy for you to go, "Well, you just Googled that." Like, really creating the conditions to make it impressive is actually the hardest bit, more than achieving the outcome, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Is that still an interest of yours?
No.
No, okay. So
Mm.
what do you spend your time like, what content do you watch?
What content do I watch? I love crime drama, that's the thing.
Oh,
Not true crime, not true crime.
we had this conversation.
Yeah, so I like grew up when I was at university. I used to make sure that I would have a break at 3 o'clock, well, 3:15 in the afternoon, because that's when Murder She Wrote was being shown on BBC Two. So that I was like, that I loved it, and yeah, so I love anything that's like a crime drama. So I like,
Do you read crime drama books as well?
I go through phases of reading. I'm dyslexic, so reading is not like easy. It's like it's effort. So
Yeah.
I tend not to. But yeah, crime drama TV is definitely where I'm at. Yeah, although I have read Richard Osman's first book, the Thursday Murder Club. That was great.
I don't know who that is. I feel
Richard
like
Richard Osman's the guy who in the TV show Pointless. You've never seen it. Okay, it's a quiz show. Pointless as a guy sits at a
forget it
desk.
again. I'm online. I can Google it. Who
I'm
is
online.
he?
Richard Osman.
Richard Osman. So he wrote a book.
He's written a series of books now. Oh, my cat's here.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah, he's cool.
This is gonna be.
Yeah, bring the cat. Oh, amazing. And come on, if you don't be shy,
She's not.
viewers. I love cats so much, but I think I've told you I'm allergic.
Yeah, this is Ivy. I've got 2 sisters. They're Bengal sisters.
Oh,
This
they
is
do.
No, I've had them 5 years.
She always just wanted attention, didn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Really sweet.
Because what happens is they think you're talking to them, so they talk back.
No,
It's all about them.
so badly. I love animals, but I am quite allergic.
Mm.
So Richard Osman, yeah, he's a presenter.
Yeah, he's written a series of books called The Thursday Murder Club. Yeah.
Oh, so he writes fiction, or is it fictional crime?
What's that?
Is it fictional crime?
Yeah.
Fictional. Okay. So you watch that on TV?
So they're about to do a televised TV movie of his books, which has got like a good cast in it. It's got Helen Mirren, it's got
Nice.
Pierce Brosnan, and yeah, it's good.
Do you know which story it's going to be on, or is it multiple?
It's the first book.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So these are really popular. Do you recommend?
It's amazing.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. What kind of TV do you watch?
Okay. So I watch. I really so pretentious. I watch TV that's like rated above. I did watch it above a 7.5 on like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb. I
Wow.
love TV series. I love something that's above an 8. It's just so brilliant. I think I prefer drama, but have you ever seen? I did watch, which is I watched Arcane. Have you heard of Arcane?
No.
Right, it's animated. There was a computer game, or maybe I think it was a computer game, League of Legends. Have you heard of League of Legends?
I've not.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. But anyway, they've made that into a story, a televised story, and it is like the highest rated thing ever. Like it's so
Hmm.
high rated. And I remember when I watched it, I was like, this is brilliant. And I'm not into manga or anime or like stuff like that. But and
Mm.
that's kind of the world it's in. But it is just phenomenal. It was so,
Mm.
so good. I had a friend force me to watch it, and by like episode 3, I was like, oh, I'm in. I
Mm.
really amazing. But that's a bit different to my normal taste. So I think that's the only animated thing I'll watch. But I love The Sopranos.
Hmm.
Love Sopranos. I mean, who can't love The Sopranos, to be fair?
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's brilliant. It is so, so good. Again, I think what made me watch it was like rated a 9,
Hmm.
like IMDb. I used to love Mad Men, and then it was a while ago since I watched it. It's because like I'll watch a TV series multiple times through.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I've never seen a film twice. Never.
No,
It's just not for me. I know
that's
what's gonna
that
happen.
cannot be true.
It's true.
What, hand on your heart, you've never seen a film
Let me
twice?
see if I've said anything twice. I've seen, like, the original animated Lion King and then the live action version, so
Yeah, I
that's
mean, like, not being a kid, surely you must have done it when you were a kid, but, like, not even when you were a kid.
maybe I'll tell you what I definitely have watched more than once is Home Alone.
Yeah, everyone's watched Home Alone, like, 70 million times. It's always
Yeah.
Christmas.
I've seen it. I saw Home Alone,
What about Die Hard?
once.
No way! What
I
Christmas?
think
Do you just watch every Christmas
I
movie
might have
every
seen The Greatest Showman twice, maybe, but
I
maybe
actually
not.
did that once, which I know is kind of criminal because apparently it's phenomenal.
It's great. Yeah,
Actually, yeah, that's the next on my watch list. I'm gonna watch that.
it's brilliant.
Yeah. I can't believe that. So do you watch Christmas movies?
I've seen them, yeah. I'm really boring, aren't I? People are like, "Who the
No,
fuck is this
no,
guy?"
it's just I think that's really fascinating. What a
No, I've seen, like, my favorite Christmas movie is called Klaus,
okay.
and it's an
How do you know
animated
it's your
one.
favourite if you've only watched it once? Have
'Cause
you
I've
only
seen the
watched
other ones once as well.
Yeah, true. Oh, wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's called
Once.
Klaus, and it's about,
How do you like Murder, She Wrote? There's like 5,000 episodes.
yeah, exactly, you just watch each one once, it's fine.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I watch it more than once.
Do you?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, some people who sit and watch Friends over, and I'm like, "Oh
No,
my."
I don't really love that. I don't love Friends. I tell you why I like the ones I watch over and over again is because they've got really good writing, and I'm just like I just want to. I'm almost like studying the writing, and I'm really enjoying the writing. Like I talked about this. I think I had a call. I did a chat like this on Monday with Matt, and we were talking about programs we watched.
This feels awkward now that I feel like we're on a date and you're talking about your ex-boyfriend. You're talking about other conversations you've had. This is awful content.
Sorry, my bad. Okay. Well, it helps that I know you've got a girlfriend and
Mm.
I'm allergic to cats, so we can just totally keep this platonic.
Phew! Not with your hair. Jeez.
I can't believe I just said that.
What I mean, which TV shows have you I'm fascinated by this. Like,
That gave me a
is there
bit
a particular show you watch over and over again?
Say that again?
Is there a particular TV show you watch over and over again?
Not anymore, but sometimes, like, sometimes I will stick a random episode of Mad Men on, and I've seen all of them, so it's more just like because I know what's going on, I'll just stick an episode on.
Mm.
Because it is like you'll put an episode on and be like, I don't remember seeing this, or I don't remember parts. So you know the story and you know the line, like storyline, but you don't know the individual thing. So sometimes you can still get surprised. You
Mm.
can be like, oh yeah, that was I forgot that, or like no recollection. It happened. There's so many episodes, so you
Yeah.
don't remember.
Do you have anything in TV or film or music like you think's everyone loves but you think's massively overrated? I've got a few of them. Like, for example,
Okay.
The Beatles.
Oh,
It's terrible. Like, I mean, most of the music's horrible. I don't understand at all.
I like the Beatles, but then I don't actually know that
It's all
many.
that clang, clang, clang. I don't want that. Like we all live it.
It's
Really?
very, it's really intelligent. I think they're very smart. I think that's what it is. Like some of the words are like, oh, this is so. It's real. Like it's. I love things which I love things that are really clever. Like so, for instance, I don't love Taylor Swift. Not that she's not
Right.
clever. I think she's actually an evil genius.
Okay.
But I think she appeals to 13-year-old girls and kind of acts like a 13-year-old girl her whole life
Mm.
because it's a great way to become a billionaire. So I don't think she necessarily writes like high quality music. But saying that, she has made a billion from it. So who am I to judge? But I think that's like, I think Taylor Swift is probably pretty overrated. Um,
Mm.
Beatles, but that's not controversial. Lots of people think Taylor Swift's overrated. Who else do I think's overrated? Nah, I don't know. Haven't really thought about that too much. Mm. So have you got any others?
There's probably some films or something, or some TV shows. Oh yeah, Breaking Bad.
I get it. Yeah, I do get it.
I was working. I was doing my
I
shows
thought
on
it was a
cruise
great
ship.
concept. I thought it was a great I thought it was a great plot line and a good concept, but I didn't feel like blown away by it. But I did love it. But I didn't love it for the same reasons I loved like Mad Men, for example. Like
Mm.
I thought Mad Men was just really it was amazing. It was very, very well done. Breaking Bad was just drama. But I also didn't like the evolution of his character.
No, that was the problem for me. I was like, "Can you get on with
Same
it?"
with Handmaid's Tale. I
I've
just
not seen that.
I got so pissed off with the main character because so same, how Walt he changed, and I'm like, you're supposed to keep. I feel like you're supposed to keep the fundamentals of the person intact while they transform, right? But he turned into a megalomaniac psychopath, and I'm like, no, that doesn't happen.
Mm.
He's not. He's now. So I'm like, I don't know. I just didn't find it a very believable, like, sort of change.
Mm.
Like, nah. And so, yeah, that didn't work for me. But the same with Handmaid's Tale as well. Again, I loved the concept. It was really interesting, great world creation, really dystopian. But I hated the evolution of the main character because
Mm.
she's always supposed to be she's supposed to be really smart, and she just kept doing really stupid things.
Mm.
And like basically, she's got a mission. She's got a really important mission, and there's a point, and this mission is really, really important. I'm not going to give it away. She has to do something, and then she goes through all the trials and tribulations, and there's one thing that's keeping her going, even though she's in this absolutely miserable life. And then her opportunity to finally succeed, she just gives it away for pride or whatever. And I was like, I just found it really, really annoying. I was like,
Mm.
that's ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. So I got really annoyed. Oh yeah, I'm a bit salty about that. So I didn't keep watching it. And she went a bit crazy as well. She kept like, I don't know. I just found that she changed too much as a character, and I just didn't like the change. So yeah, Handmaid's Tale, I think is overrated.
Mm. Mm.
What else? That's about it. I think that's it. And
Mm.
yeah, I do agree with Breaking Bad.
I was disappointed in it and trapped with it at the same time because I was booked to do these gigs. So I would fly to like one of these ridiculously luxurious cruise ship type things, and I would fly on, do my show, and then like leave the next day, fly to the next one. I was doing that for 7 weeks
Mm,
without coming home, and so I emptied my laptop because I needed something to watch between shows and on the flights and stuff. So I thought, well, there's all these seasons of this thing called Breaking Bad. Everyone's going crazy about it. They must love it. So I
yeah.
got rid of everything. There was no Murder She Wrote left on my laptop, right? And I put Breaking Bad onto it. And I get on the ship, the first one, and I watch like the first series, and I'm like, I hate this. I get halfway through season 2, and I just delete the whole thing. And I'm like, I'm just not into this at all. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't.
Oh, I did watch the whole thing.
Did you? No, I couldn't make it.
What about Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I like that. I watched the first 3 seasons, then I sort of just got out of the habit. Those things you just sort of get out of the habit of watching. And I think that happened a lot for a lot of people, including me, when COVID happened and there was all those breaks in TV dramas. Like we used to watch the one with Kiefer Sutherland where he replaces the president.
Don't remember.
It was really good. And but then there was this like unexpected break because they couldn't film anymore because COVID was all happening, and I just never picked it up again. Designated Survivor is what it's called.
Yeah, I never never heard of that. Yeah, I watched all of Game of Thrones.
Did you?
Yeah, I watched it all.
I've got a question for you. I feel like I'm interviewing you now. What's the worst feeling ever? Like, for example, I
Shame.
don't like the feeling of dry sponge.
Oh, okay, right. Did you
What are
hear?
you going for?
I just went guilt, shame.
Shame. No, shame is the most evocative feeling in human nature, for sure. But like,
Yeah, I think so. It must be shame. Yeah, it
it
must
is.
be
It
shame.
is, for sure.
Imagine feeling shame while holding a dry sponge.
That's horrible. The other worst feeling ever is when you're wearing your socks and you stand in something wet.
Oh no! Worst feeling for me. The worst is sandy feet.
Oh, I don't like sandy feet either. I hear
Like,
you.
sandy feet and flip flops. Who can do that? For me, it feels like I just can't do it. Like I have to go and wash my feet off of like the sand off my feet. Can't cope with sandy feet. But I love the beach. I just hate sandy feet.
Mm.
Like like sandy feet, but walking on like beach road. You know the kind of beach. Yeah, look at your face. You know the kind of beach road. You know what I'm talking about. Like it's like
And it's all that rough and
it's like a parade type thing, like a
Yeah.
little beach road, and just
it's called a promenade, I think.
like yeah, like a promenade,
Yeah.
and like but sandy feet walking on it. I think that's the worst feeling in the whole entire world.
And
Which is
noisy
so
eaters.
disappointing because it's followed by like the best experience, right? Like I love the beach. I love going in the sea. I
Do
love
you?
playing with sand. Sandy feet ruins it for me.
Mm, mm.
Cold. I actually quite like a cold plunge. Oh, yeah, no, just drizzly, wet. You know when you just England spitting, not
Yeah, I
trying.
don't mind that actually. I quite like it when it's been warm and you go outside and there's like a fret in the air and it's just like almost like tingles your cheeks. I really like that.
A what?
A fret,
Well, I don't know what that means.
a sea fret. It's like I guess because I live at the coast, and you're from the middle somewhere.
Yeah, I'm landlocked. I know I'm not.
No sailors for you.
Yeah, no sailors for me. I'm sailorless.
Tragique.
Yeah. So I don't know what a fret is.
Well,
Actually,
don't fret about it.
yeah, I was gonna say. I actually feel like there's also it could be like a guitar fret or whatever. But never mind. No, I don't know what that is. What was I going to I was going to ask you something. Oh, okay. So touring, unless you've got any other terrible feelings.
No, I haven't. I do have a cat that's gone ballistic. I'm going to have to go and sort this cat out. Give me 1 second, everybody.
That's all right. I wish we had like I had like a thing. Like bear with audience. I want to edit that. Don't forget to come say hello and comment on this live because we'd love to know who you are and where you are and come say hello because we'd like to meet you. It's interesting actually, like we've had a lot of it's interesting to see. I wonder what the timing has to do with it, whether like people are less present at this time. Oh, I suppose it's like school, got to pick up the kids and stuff like that as well. It's kind of quiet. We've usually got a few more comments by now. So if you to whoever's watching, feel free to say hello. Is the cat all right?
Fine, just noisy. Could you not hear her?
No.
Oh, yeah, noisy. You were going to ask me a question about touring, you said.
Yeah. So how did that start? Like how did you start getting gigs? I think that's a really important question actually, because that's the answer to all life's questions, isn't it? That everyone online wants to know is how do I get a gig?
How did I get a gig? I think so. Most of it was I think it was a bunch of things. the first bit was having a really good, I know it sounds really like basic and dumb, but like having a really clear, unique way of describing what I did.
Mm.
Nobody else was doing that. So when I came into this world, like I had friends who were like magicians, like traditional
Mm.
cards and coins and physical magic tricks and illusions and stuff. And they were all like saying, amazing magician, amazing magician.
Mm.
Whereas I came in with very much like a benefit driven, like, I'll make sure your guests leave thanking you for the best event they've ever been to. And I had this unique angle.
You were great from marketing from the get-go, basically.
Well, I got good at it because I was like, I want gigs. Like, I've got to
Yeah,
get good
yeah,
at
yeah.
this thing. Because gigs don't just show up at your door. So that was the first bit, like messaging and having something unique about you. Like, how many times when we look at a sales page or something, it just reads like the same old thing that everybody else is doing.
Mm.
It's got to have something unique about it. Something like
It's
something
scary to be unique, though, isn't it?
but I think the uniqueness, you don't necessarily and don't generally invent the uniqueness. Generally, you will discover you basically discover the uniqueness from within the thing that already exists. Like the way I think of it, and I think I might have said this somewhere, but the way I think of it anyway is when Da Vinci made the David, was it Da Vinci? Yeah, I think it was Da
Yeah,
Vinci.
yeah, yeah. Da Vinci did
Did the David, right?
the David. I don't know if I still called that, but what is it called?
It's called the David, I think.
Is it called the David? No. I'm gonna pull my blinds because it's
Yeah, well, it's if you search for the David or just David, it is, and it wasn't Da Vinci, it was Michelangelo.
oh yeah, of course.
It wasn't ringing quite right with me. I said Da Vinci, I was like, it doesn't feel right. Michelangelo. Anyway, when he did the David, he was asked about how how he crafted this, how he sculpted this amazing sculpture. And what he said was he got the block of marble and he just removed all the parts that weren't the David.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And so I
yeah.
thought, philosophically, that's quite interesting. An actual fact, what we have to do is with our product, in my case, my product was I'm going to go and do these gigs. What is the unique thing? And my unique thing was I was like this really sharp, acerbic, offensive comedy guy doing stuff that looks like you can read your mind. That was my thing. So we used the word acerbic a lot. That was in one of my press reviews back in the day. So that's one of the things is get the messaging really clear and make it so that it's not what everybody else is saying. The next bit is like how you get that message in front of people. Because what a lot of people do is they try and get a message out through running advertising or doing cold calling or DMing people or whatever they're doing. But when people hear what they do, it sounds really, really bland. Like it's boring. And people are like, oh, I've already heard of that. Like I had once somebody, probably more than once, but I remember like a couple of
I'm gonna
months ago.
pause you for 1 second because I just realized I made a complete fatal error that we're in the same studio as before. I've got the bloody last caption, so I'm gonna update the caption. But I wanna keep talking because I think this is so, so important. I made a blank.
I've lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
So taking away actually, I can go look at in there.
To tell us. I was saying that that's what, chiseling away the.
Yeah, chiseling away. I know. I knew I was going to ruin it. I was like, don't say anything. But then I was like, it will look rude if I'm typing. And then I was like, oh, I've got to go do something quick.
Oh yeah, it's a breakfast chat at the moment.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was just like, oh no, I didn't update it because the thing with
I should have been sat here eating some sausage.
Yeah, you still can.
Thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to get into that and update it. So to the viewers watching, it is not the breakfast chat, and this is not Manil. This is actually Kennedy from Email Marketing Heroes, and he's delivering some really important pearls of wisdom about messaging.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yes. Now you said messaging. That's good.
Yes.
So basically, most messaging is really bland. Great example. A few months ago, I had this woman reach out to me, and she wanted to be on our podcast, the Email Marketing Show, and she said, "Now, bear in mind, the context is she knows the show is called the Email Marketing Show. Fine.
Yeah.
She reaches out and she says, "Hey, I'd love to come onto the podcast and be a guest." And I say, "Great. What would you like to talk about?" And she says, "The importance of email marketing." And I'm like, we talk about that every week. Like it was so broad because
What we talk
like
about.
literally what else are we going to talk about on the thing called the email marketing show? We're not going to some weeks talk about email marketing, some weeks like people kind of know that already. And so if she turned up and said, "Hey, I want to talk about how to get your emails delivered into the Microsoft inbox," I would have been like, "Oh, that's specific. It's something we can talk about." I'm not going to bring a guest on to that and be like, "Email marketing is good, isn't it? And here's why you should use it, and here's why it's important." Because everyone's like, obviously, like it was the wrong thing. So specificity is usually the answer. Like you can be specific with numbers, with dates, with times, with people's names, with that's a really simple way of being unique is being specific, because generally somebody, even if someone's done a bigger number than you, let's say you're doing a sales page which is about how you made $1 gazillion or whatever, like how I made $1 million, or somebody might have made 10 million but you're saying a million, and it's the more specific that is, how I made $922,000. Oh, that's much more interesting than how I made $1 million. Like it's just way more
Okay,
interesting.
that's a good tip.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could definitely get you on and talk about so many things, but like, I want to keep talking about the touring.
Okay. So then the next part of getting the gigs was really, I did a lot of cold outreach to begin with. Just
Okay.
ringing people and being like, "Hey, who's the person who organizes this year's conference?" And they would go, "Oh, it's Julie." I'm like, "Cool. Can I speak to Julie?" "Yeah, cool. Julie, here's what I need, here's what I do, what you do." And it was just having conversations with people. But I think the real thing that booked my calendar up was was having a much more long-sighted approach. So what most people do when they're reaching out for work, especially if you're a service business like I was basically trading time for money. Essentially, I was getting paid, X per gig.
Yeah.
And usually, if you're a coach, that you could be doing that. If whatever you're doing, what most people do if they're doing outreach, like imagine like you've got an agency or something,
Mm.
is you'll reach out and the person will say no. Like if you get a 10% close rate, that means 9 out of 10 people are going to say no. They then just move on to the next lead, the next lead, the next lead. What I did is I took all the no's and I put them into an automation software. It was a simple automation software back in the day. And I had that automatically reach out to them again the next year.
Okay. Oh,
So
okay.
what it meant
So
is I
you
didn't have to make 100 phone calls in year two. I only had to make 70 phone calls in year two, because some of the spots would be taken up because I just no, and then some of the people would say no the second year. Guess what would happen? On year number 3, then you're going to get another email from me that says, "Hey, we talked about your event last year. We couldn't make it happen for
right,
whatever reason."
you found events firstly, and then
Mhm.
asked people, and that you're still quite good with that, actually, aren't you? Like that's something. So that I guess that's the main thing. You found events. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And an easy way to find events, all I did was when I wanted to work locally to begin with, is I just went and sat in the bars and the lobbies of the local hotels. And when an event was on, I would go wander over, find out who the organizer was, and have a conversation. Just be in the play. Like
Mm,
marketing is really simple, really. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. It's just
yes.
being in front of, where is the person who should buy from you? Go stand in front of them. That's it, and have something good to say.
I think people underestimate that, like, and that's one of the things that we've like we noticed a dip in our conversion rates since we stopped going live because Cordelia went on maternity leave, and then like I had new responsibilities. We noticed a big dip, and it's like we could never quantify what the show had been doing for us or what what the value of that was. But then it's like it just makes sense. Like if you're in front of people, they think of you, and then you are just in their mind, and then they equate their problem to your solution. So it doesn't have to be like a genius strategy or like perfectly scripted or tidy or whatever, or refined. It could just be exposure. Like I think exposure just does a huge amount of heavy lifting. And I think, interestingly enough, I think the reason it does that heavy lifting is because not many people do it. And I think not many people do it because they don't think it's enough. They don't think it's just enough to just go and sit and be in front of one contact and to place their time doing that. Like, at least that would have been my perspective. My prior perspective would be like, well, I'll go to this lobby and then I'll speak to the organizer and they'll say no. And that's a waste of time because I've now got like a no. And what I could have been doing is putting out Facebook ads or something, you know, like I could have reached 1,000 people with my message. And I don't think it just doesn't work quite like that. Like you said, and you can go,
And I think the important thing here is to remember that not all approaches are created equal. So how
yes,
many people are going to have to see your Facebook ad? Like if you look at your CPM, the cost per 1,000 impressions, how many people actually see the Facebook ad? You might show your Facebook ad to 10,000 people, but I only need to go and have conversations with 10 people.
yeah, exactly.
Because the power of being in front of them. And the other
Mm.
important piece, though, that a lot of people didn't figure out in the entertainment business was you don't want to know when the event is. You want to know when they're booking the event.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
Because I don't want to know, hey, you've got this event today, it's July the 1st.
Yes, it's when they're looking
I
for
want to know when do you start booking the next one?
Yeah, okay. So what kind of events were they? Oh, but Gesundheit. What kind of events were they when like you're because I would have thought I would have thought it was like I don't know. I have no concept of what kind of event it would be that you would be booked at, like weddings or
No, it was
commercial?
annual sales conferences, awards dinners. Like I'll do like a 30 or 40-minute show, like just before the awards, after dinner, or product launches. I did like product launches for like Yahoo, and yeah, a bunch of
You
it
just went and knocked on doors essentially.
for a bit, and then it became like I had a website, and back then SEO was really simple because nobody else was really doing it properly. And then the next big thing. So once you've got what you need is a really good message, then you need to go and do the grunt work of like knocking on doors, calling people up, ringing people, that stuff. Stage 3, which when it becomes easy, so it's like annoyingly difficult getting the messaging right, time consuming and tiring doing the knocking on doors. But the good news is the promised land of phase 3, and that is to have a really good referral program.
Mm.
Because my goal with every show I did was to turn it into 3 more bookings. So I had a
Always
very the process of getting more bookings was almost as scripted as the show.
okay.
So, there was lots of things I would do. So one of the reasons people don't get referrals is because the referral request comes as a surprise.
Okay.
So the
Interesting.
person's like, "I wasn't expecting that." So what I would do is I would seed referrals from the first interaction. So that when I do ask for a referral, it's obvious they don't even think. They just go, "Oh yeah, you need to speak to this person." So I would do this in 2 phases. Initially, when the inquiry would come in because of whatever marketing, I would say to them, "Great, how did you hear from me? How did you hear
Mm.
about me?" And they'd go, "Oh, I saw an ad, I saw whatever." And I would every time I would be like, "Ah, that's so interesting to hear that's working," because most of the events that I get are from referrals
Word of mouth, yeah.
from people who have an event and then recommend me to other people. So that does 2 things on that initial conversation. One, it says I get referrals. So later, when I ask you for a referral, that's not gonna be a surprise. 2, it says I'm good because if
Yeah.
I wasn't good, people wouldn't refer me.
Yes,
That's
yes, yeah.
phase 1. Then they would tell me, "Oh, no, it was from the ad, or it's because your assistant reached out, or because of whatever." Fine. Phase 2 is I get to the event. I show up to the event, and I'm about to do my sound check, and I go meet the event organizer, the head of events, and I go over and I'm like, "Hey, Angela, it's great to see. I'm so excited. This room looks great. Wow, it's gonna be a great event. How was it you heard about me?" Again.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh, it was this." You go, "Oh, 'cause I just thought," and then I reiterate. most of my clients come through other people telling people about me, especially like clients who've had me and stuff. Oh, cool. So I've seeded this idea of referrals twice.
Yep.
So now, and the important piece here is that it's automated after the event. So one of the fields in my little CRM system that I had, it was just basic stuff back in the day, was the date of the event. So I say the event was on the 1st of October. Like 4 days after, they would get an automated email from me. It didn't look automated, but it was saying, "Hey, I really love your event. Thank you so much for taking great care of me. Look, I want to work with more great clients like you. Most of my gigs are booked from referrals. Could you give me the name of 2 or 3 people who also have events who you think I'd be good for?" And that is it. It's just, but it's a process. It's as much a process as running ads is, as what you say on a sales call. Like, it's built into the process, and that's really what exploded my business.
Yeah.
I mean, you're from a network marketing background, so referrals were like the thing you did.
You're from a network marketing
No,
background.
you are.
No, I'm not. Am I? Well, not.
I thought that's how you and Cordelia met, no?
Not really. It was more affiliate marketing, which is.
Okay.
We did that. We cut our teeth with advertising. We went straight into the deep end where like the expensive thing that does, that's pretty hard to, and that we were getting commission. So it was really difficult to become profitable.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. I misremembered that.
Yeah. So we were doing affiliate marketing, and we just fell in love. We're like, oh my God, I love you. And that was 2017 we met. But yeah, so it was like this tier 2 type. They called it tier 2. It wasn't MLM. It was like, because if you brought someone on and then they advertised to someone, you got commission of theirs and this, that, the other. And it was actually quite good. But it was so, I don't know. It was just what that was. It's getting your start in there. Yeah. It just seems like so intuitive to you to do that. Like for me, that would never be something that would occur to me to do that. Like, and I would give up really fast. I mean, I think maybe I underestimate my tenacity or my resilience, or maybe it's just not the type of thing that I find a lot of motivation for, where like doing like, this is the equivalent of door knocking, but I suppose as well, it's not, because then you get the referrals. There's a lot to it. It's just, I think I'm amazed at the intuition. Like, or did someone teach you to do this? Like,
not really. I was, I did go and learn, I downloaded some ebooks and stuff off the internet. That's all you could do, because you couldn't put videos on the internet back then. Because it was in the nether days of.
And did you study anything? Did you go to uni?
Yeah, I went and did I did a drama degree at university.
And then is that where you picked up your act? Like, so what came?
No, I was already sort of doing it. What happened is I was already doing it. And then I thought, well, I don't know what else to do at university, but I should probably go, which is an interesting thing, isn't it? Like, if I don't know what to do, I'm going to go and spend 3 years of my life and get into thousands of pounds worth of debt. Yeah. Great idea to figure it out. That's bloody stupid. Like my niece, I have a niece, she's 18 years old. And she's like wanting to go to university, and she's like trying to decide whether to go to this university or that one. And she was like, do you think I should move away to university? And I said, 100%, that's what you should do. But then I said, I have a bigger question, and that is, why are you going to university? Because there are so few jobs these days that require any kind of degree or rely on the current education system. Yeah.
I think it's definitely an entrepreneurial way of thinking, because I have a degree, and if like it was just pointless. I'm very glad I did it. So
mine was a complete fucking waste of time.
Oh yeah. I mean,
what was yours?
English lit and creative writing.
So you kind of used that ish.
Well, I didn't really learn anything though. Yeah. Like I don't think it enhanced my skills. I actually really, really enhanced my skills in creative writing after I graduated university. And I was applying for my master's because I wanted to enhance my writing skill. And in applying for the master's, I had to write like a load of, I didn't have anything to present as like my writing portfolio, because I didn't really do anything at uni. And so I hired a mentor, And I then learned and developed so much. And that was in 3 months, that by the time what I submitted to universities, I was like blown away by. I sometimes I'll read back. I wrote this series of short stories, which is it's a crazy sequence of events that happens in these short stories. And I'm like, where did you get this? It was so, I love it so much. Like, and if I ever need to have like a little boost of pride, I will read it, because it's just, I just find I just love it. And so I was like, oh, I don't need to do a master's. I actually didn't need to do uni. I just needed to spend 3 months with like someone working with me one-to-one. And that really gave me such a huge boost. And I will say, you know, like, to me, I was like, that sounded a bit like a plug for like coaching or whatever. But I was like so ferocious with the work. Like I was like, I had who I hired, I was like hounding for like feedback and advice, and it was a really, really difficult process. But then I kind of just broke through this barrier, and then I was like, wow, okay, that's it then now. And I didn't even need to go anymore, but I did get a place. But I didn't go in the end. I started doing marketing instead. I joined that course where I met Cordelia. But I only value university in the experience I got. So I also did a year of at the University of South Carolina. So I had an exchange program, and like, you know, that's transformative. Like that was like an experience that was like, I think all of us that were exchange students, we knew like there was life before South Carolina and there was life after South Carolina. And it's like that year will forever be a formative year, because it was just.
So you were studying English literature in South Carolina?
Yeah. And it's wild. It is wild. I was talking to a girl about this the other day, like actually one of my writer friends, about the standard of the education, and like, it's wild. Do you want to hear a bit about it?
No, yeah, I do.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no, I do. Go for it.
So, and I will say this as well, the standard of education in the UK, like, I think what it does do, and we do know this, is it does produce well-educated people. Now, the thing is, there's not very many benefits for those well-educated people most of the time, because the UK absolutely, well, it really takes advantage of you. Like, it's pretty hard. I feel a lot of the time that, especially even in business, or it's just like swimming upstream. It's really difficult, especially at the moment. And I think like we're, you know, we're really pushed, like we're really squeezed with the opportunities, and just not what they used to be and not what we were promised. But we're also well educated in the UK. I'd love for people to say hello in the chat as well. Like, we got people joining, and I'm like, hi, we're going to talk. So I'm going to talk about my experience with the University of South Carolina. So I did 2 years undergrad at University of Kent, which was it's a decent-ish university. And in my second year of uni in Kent, I did 6 hours contact time a week. And so I did one Shakespeare module. And what we had to do each week was read a whole Shakespeare play, plus probably 20 pages of like journal stuff. Like you'd read like articles or whatever. And these were like, not just like a Vogue article. It was like pages of someone's critical analysis of Shakespeare, right? Like, and anyone who did any sort of like humanitarian degree will just know that you have to go and you read these bloody journals or whatever, and you have to go to this specific place. And so each week I would go to one seminar, and we would discuss that play, and we would discuss the journal. We had 2 hours to talk about it, and that was it. And we had to read a play a week. And, then there was the exam and but it was very low contact time. There was one lecture as well each week. There was a lecture and a seminar each week. And I don't even think that one had a lecture. I'm not sure. I don't think that one had a lecture. Anyway, so it was 6 hours max per week. That included lectures and seminars. So it must have been 2 lectures and 2 seminars, because that adds up to 6 hours. So go to America. Bear in mind, America's a 4-year degree, plus it's way more expensive. But I paid half the tuition fees back home, because it was an exchange program. So it was cheap for me, which was great. And I was allowed to do 4th year classes. Even though I was technically only going to my 3rd year. And there was a Shakespeare class, and I was like, oh, that'll be good for me, because I already, I've done it.
You already talk like that. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so I already say, thou art
thou art.
And thou art a villain, you trusty knave. I don't know, whatever. I should probably get better.
Your degree's really showing now.
Well, anyway, yeah. So
You're like a walking ad for the education system,
no,
aren't you?
for Shakespeare. Oh dear. So I did a 4th year class. So my contact time in South Carolina was 14 hours a week. My the Shakespeare class, how it was approached was we were reading it aloud over a period of like weeks. We took one play. I think we did Romeo and Juliet, which I was like, okay, pretty sure I read this aloud in year 10. And we read it aloud. And I had 3 classes a week. So we were reading like act by act it was about 3 weeks we were spending on one play and just going in class and reading it out together. And I was like, okay, interesting. And it got to the midterms, got to the exams or the paper. We were given we had to write about it, whatever it was, the assignment. And she told us the assignment, and I was like, and I went up to her and I said, where do I get secondary resources from? And she's like, oh no, Shakespeare is a minefield for resources. Just stick to the text. And I was like, what? What? 4th year. This was my 4th year. In my whole year in South Carolina, the University of South Carolina, doing 3rd year and 4th year classes, I didn't use a single reference. I didn't.
Sounds ideal.
It was amazing. I got to have a great time. Like, I was like, great. One class, I chose a food literature class. So it was all about food. I missed one too many lessons, whatever. And so she emailed me and said, oh, you've dropped a letter grade. So just to let you know, yeah. And I was like, oh, shucks, that's really annoying. And she said, well, what you can do is you can write a reflection piece on one of the texts we've studied. I was like, okay, what does that mean? She's like, just a couple paragraphs about what you think about what one of the text is. And I was like, okay, so, I get more information? Like, what, do you need me to look into it? No, just tell me what you think about one of the pieces that we read. I chose Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. We'd studied Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And I was like, great. So I wrote about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for 2 paragraphs. And she's like, cool, you've restored your letter grade. I was like, okay. Then one of the modules I picked, a whole module, right? So I was like a full term spent. I chose Twilight. We studied the Twilight Saga. So I studied all.
That was the worst first date I've ever been on, Twilight. I was told.
Oh, you went to the cinema?
Yeah, I was told I was gonna go and see a vampire film.
Right. Oh.
And then it was Twilight, and I was raging because some Edward Hughes' face was there, and that was annoying.
Fallon, yeah. Well, I studied that as a whole. And I got the worst grade, but I got B. I got 100.
Hang on, you studied Twilight and got a B?
I know, yeah. Because I didn't really make much effort.
It's quite embarrassing.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I also got 130% in one of my exams.
I don't want to know what you did.
Well, basically what happened was I got 100% in the exam, but no one else seemed to get 100%. Everyone had a rough, like most people got like 70 or something like that. There was this real struggle with this one particular section of it. And so she retaught us the bit that everyone was struggled with, which made up about 30% or 30%. She retaught it to us. And then she set it again. And she's like, for everyone who got like, whatever you got, you can make up an extra 30% of your grade. And so I was like, can I do it? And she's like, yeah. So I just resat the same thing. And then I got added 30% to my grade. I had 100. Do you know, that class was a phonetics class. I didn't even have the same phonetics as them. I got 130% in a phonetics class. I pronounce things completely differently. And I was like, okay. Like, I had a sociology exam, which was multiple choice. I had one ancient literature class where I learned nothing the whole time. And when it got to the exams or the papers, I was like, I have no idea what I'm going to write. Like, I'm literally going to fail this class because the guy was so weird. He just didn't teach us anything. He just kept talking Latin at us. And I'm like, ugh. He just cancelled it. He cancelled the midterm exam and the homework, like papers. And he cancelled the end of year exam and papers. And he goes, last class, he's like, I cancelled the exams. You all got Bs. I was like, what? Okay. I think that was about it. There was loads of stuff, but it was just like, what is this education system? And that was 4th year, and it was so expensive. It was like 30 grand a year for that. Like, it was just madness.
Shocking.
I was like, okay, well, this is explaining a few things. That's a joke, but it was like A level, if that, because I got let off exams, which I'd never have got in A level. I mean, I actually failed a couple of my A level, like the first times round.
Wow.
I had to resit them. This I flew through and did nothing. So yeah, that's my experience of university in South Carolina in America. And I was like, and I'd gone from 2nd year, which was difficult, like really difficult at uni. Like uni in England is so hard. They wipe off your 1st year. They go into practice. You just need a practice round. Like you just need a practice round.
You can lose your ons, I think, can't you?
Pardon?
I think you can use the honours. You can lose the honours if you don't do something in 1st year, I think. Is that right?
I don't know.
I think I think there's something around that, I remember.
I don't really ever understand the honours thing. I think
No, I don't either. I think it's bollocks.
But I do feel like I wouldn't necessarily encourage my kids to go to university because I don't think it's about, especially with the prices now.
The prices, it's just like, yes, the prices are crazy, but also like, what's the return on that? Like, unless you want a particular type of job which requires university, you can go to university at any time. So why do we choose to go to university when we don't know what the hell we want to do the rest of our lives?
And when we're like just stepped into adulthood.
Yeah, we're still fetuses, basically.
Yeah, but like also you've just got this, like it is like the time where you just want to go wild. I reckon that's what it is. They've just trapped you into like, you should go to university when you're like 28. Like,
I think so, but then of course the schools wouldn't get the referral fee. So
oh, do schools get referral fees?
I think so.
Oh, I had no idea.
Well, if they don't get referral fees, they definitely get marked on like how many of their students go to university. That's like definitely a thing schools care about, isn't it?
I didn't know that. I'm so
they may not get referral fees, but they're incentivized to get as they can to university.
That makes sense. I'm gonna say hello again in the chat and try and force these watchers, you lurkers, come say hello. Hello. What do you think about university? I keep saying hello to myself. Yeah, I wouldn't encourage university now unless. So it was still the best for me. I think it cost about 30 grand in total. I was still lucky enough to. It was 3. I think my year was the last year. Actually, it was still 3,000 a year when I went. Best 30 grand ever. It was great. I had a great time. It was definitely worth it for the fun. And I would say, you know what? Like, if you want to go have a good time, like a coming of age opportunity, great. I don't think it's worth 60 or 70, which is like probably what it's coming up now. And yeah, so unless someone wants to go and have a great time and realizes you're going to be in debt forever and it's just fun, or they want to go and become a lawyer or an accountant. I don't even know if you need to, like something that requires that. Even when I was at uni, nurses got it for free.
Yeah.
Like, a couple of my friends, hi, Mark, started your master's degree at 36. Actually, he's a really great writer. Mark's forever waxing lyrical, which is great. My friends that are nurses now, they all got it. They got bursaries and they got it for free. And they're like, I would never have done nursing unless it was paid for. I just got free university, so it was great. It's not the case now. It's a shame. So we've had a good chat about uni.
Yeah.
That was an interesting side
tangent.
Oh yeah, because we were talking about how you created your gig. Your magician's gig. So that sounded really patronising. Your little magician. No. The little you did. You turned into a really successful career.
Yeah, and I did that for a while, but then I just got sick of being on the road all the time, missing weddings and funerals and birthdays of every single person. So I was like, what actually happened was I didn't just stop. I started teaching other entertainers how to get their own gigs and increase their prices. And that was my first ever online coaching business, as I was helping those people. So I had a membership, I had a coaching business, and that was fun. So what was nice is I would be flying to do some gig somewhere, but like when I was in the departure lounge at the airport, or maybe in my hotel or whatever, I would be like writing the content for that. So it was like really good use of all that traveling time, because you would travel. I would fly for like 11 hours to get to, or 14 hours, whatever, to get to Singapore to do a gig, and I'm on stage for 40 minutes and then fly all the way home. Like it's a lot of traveling, but
Wow.
so I made that extra side income, and that ended up being pretty significant. For me at the time. Yeah, and that's how I ended up teaching any kind of marketing stuff.
So your first sort of would you say it's an online gig? Would you say it's like a
Online business, yeah.
coaching? Like how would you describe it?
It was an online business. I had a membership and a coaching program, and I had like individual like digital products. My first product was actually, it was, how much was it? Was it £69 or 97 pounds, something like that. And they would pay, and they would get an email. Like it was basically an automated email sequence, one email a day for 30 days. That's what they were buying. That was the first product.
Yeah, I do actually remember a good old video series.
It was an email series.
It
Yeah.
wasn't even a video series, an email series. Okay. So and I assume you downloaded some sort of ebook or something like that which taught you how to do that, or what platform did you use as well?
Good question. It was really simple. I used Aweber. That was the
Oh yeah.
original
Yeah, okay.
email marketing platform, and they would pay through PayPal, and I figured out how to make an integration between PayPal and Aweber. So when somebody bought something through PayPal, so I just had like a free blog on like blogger.com or whatever it was called, and I put a PayPal button on it. They would pay through PayPal, and it would send a little thing to Aweber. They would get put onto a list, and then an automated series of 30 emails would kick off, and that was it.
Yeah, we used Aweber as well. That was we were still going through. We only stopped using it, I think, a year and a half ago. We built a whole business on Aweber. Yeah, it was great. It's perfect. Not best page, but whatever. And so what made you go from, why didn't you keep on teaching people how to get gigs booked?
I did that for a bit because I enjoyed helping other people. It was good money. I could do it from anywhere I wanted or anywhere I was. Like I can do a coaching call sitting on the balcony of my hotel on holiday. I can do it while I'm doing a gig. Whatever. It was simple. That idea of location. I don't want to be location independent, but I want to be flexible.
Mm. And so you did that. So you did like particularly helping entertainers get gigs. I'd love to see some like old images of the sales letter and like.
Yeah, I did find an image somewhere of me delivering. I held a mastermind at near Heathrow Airport.
That's where I'm originally from. Basically, Heathrow Airport. I'm not even joking. It's pretty
Really?
much. Yeah. I could walk there.
Is that why your nickname 747?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why my nickname is 747.
Yeah. I had a much ruder version of that joke in my head, and I'm not going to do it. Yeah. So
I'm actually not sharp enough to know what it could have been.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I did that for a bit, and then I kept getting asked by other like business groups, "Hey, would you come and teach some general marketing stuff to this business group?" And that's where this sort of email marketing hero stuff ended, because everything I've done basically all came back to send regular emails, send good emails, keep in touch with people, keep in touch with them for a long time, because that's where the money is. And also what I figured out fairly late on there was that when you email, like every time you send an email, right, you get a chance to test a new angle for your marketing.
Yeah.
So what's really cool is if you email like 3 times a week, every week you get 3 chances of seeing what resonates with your audience. And then if you go, oh, every time I talk about this thing, I get lots of opens, lots of clicks. So if that's the case, that topic should be what you change your sales page to be about. That's what you
Mm.
should change your webinar to be about. This idea, I think, when like you bring lots of little bits of your brain together and you go, oh, that's why it makes sense. I remember hearing that. Do you remember the George Foreman grill?
Yes.
So there was a thing I heard about when they were doing all the infomercials, the TV ads for the George Foreman grill, and you had George standing at this like kitchen, and you had the grill, and they would cook some like sausages or whatever on the grill. They would try lots of different versions of that ad, and they would like edit certain things in, edit certain things out, like lots of different versions. And what they figured out is they made the most sales when they included a little shot of them taking the sausages out of the pan and then pouring the fat
Yeah, okay.
out, because that's what the whole thing was. This
Yeah,
this
yeah, yeah,
will
it's
make things
that's the
healthy.
benefit,
Here's
right?
here's a visual of all the fat that you're not gonna be
Yeah,
consuming, that's why
yeah.
it's healthy. And they realized every time they don't include that shot, they made less sales. And kind of that's what we all should be kinda doing, is
Mm,
figuring out every time I use these kinds of ideas, not necessarily like magic words, I don't think that's really that important anymore. But
yeah.
I think these concepts, every time I talk about it from this angle. So in your Rebels community, sometimes you might talk about the importance of belonging, and
I see what you mean.
sometimes you might talk about the importance of being like an independent business owner. They're both true, but
Yeah.
when you email about one, you might find that more people resonate with that than the other. So what you would do is start moving all of your messaging to be talking about the one that really resonates. And it's often not the one you think it is. Sometimes you think, oh, people really want belonging, and actually they don't want belonging. Like a
Yeah,
great example of this
wait
is,
on you. They can't stand you.
yeah, especially me.
Yeah.
But but in reality, like one of the things that people often think their audiences want is they want accountability. The truth is, not many people actually want accountability.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real word that everyone puts in with coaching. You
And
get
you got
accountability.
accountability. I don't want accountability.
Yeah, I want you to solve all my problems in 30 seconds, actually.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I want. If you
what do you mean?
can't do that, I'm not
I don't
interested.
wanna do work.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that is actually a really good point. Do you know what's interesting? Which is, it's quite we noticed with one of our emails recently that we got a crazy high click-through rate. And it's like, in a sea of like all right clicks. And we're like, what is, and it was just very much networking focused, the email. And it's like, wow, cool. Wow. It's kind of obvious sometimes. I do think as well, especially because we're marketing and it's all in our messaging, like I think like we've attracted the people that are attracted to the specific concepts that like through the marketing of it, so they are already like it. So sometimes when we can like deviate or try different things, it just doesn't hit home, and then we're like, oh yeah, if we say the same thing that we said to them which got them through the door, they tend to resonate with that. And they like that, that the fact that they like the networking message, oh, we've invited them to a networking event,
Yeah.
like
It's not just the same with messaging, by the way. It's the same with Medium.
yeah,
So
okay,
so for example, if you bring people into your world who enjoy live events, online networking events,
yes, yeah,
then
yeah,
they
yeah,
will probably buy more live online networking events. They will buy less, they might still buy some courses or
yeah,
coaching or
definitely.
software or something like that. And I really realized this fairly recently. I was giving a keynote in Dublin in Ireland, and I was asked to make a small pitch from the stage for a small low ticket offer. Or yeah, I think it was, you had to do a low ticket offer, I think it was what it was, or a free thing, I think. But either way, I did a low ticket offer. And I was at this live event and I told them about this really amazing program of ours, and I'd give them a massive discount. It's gonna be like 30 quid for this whole, 30 euros because it was in Ireland. And the conversions were okay. But I was speaking to other people afterwards, and their conversions were higher than mine. And I was like,
Right.
why is this? The next in-person event, I tested a theory, which was, if people who are at an in-person event like to attend events, if I offer them an event, not in this case, not in person, but an online, but still
Yeah,
an event where you have to be at a place at a time, will it convert higher? And the answer was yes.
yeah,
So
yeah,
what
yeah.
I try and do is anytime someone's taking an initial action, how do I replicate that in as many ways as possible. So if your front end offer maybe if you're running ads to something, if that's a video, then your upsells should be videos.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
The
yeah.
temptation is sometimes, and it's worth testing this because sometimes you can't find, oh, actually they'll buy the video, but then on the upsell you might give them the template to implement the video, and I've seen that work many times. But it's interesting to see if you kind of create consistency in the media that's being
I
used.
think, I always just get blown away by just like how knowledgeable you are. And I'm always like, where
I
did you
don't look like I'm going to be, right?
Yeah, looks are really deceiving in your case.
Yeah, you can't be handsome and smart. That's what you mean, right?
It's an impossible combo.
Yeah, and somehow
Trendy. You're really cool, with your white hair, like,
I've never been cool in my life, so
no,
I appreciate
this
that.
is substance. There's no style over substance here. It's all substance, baby. Yeah, like it's very, very, and also I will say, um, very giving as well. You put a lot of time, from my experience anyway. You put a lot of time and energy into me, and I do know we always, our messages to each other are always like, "I'm so bad. I haven't replied to you in this much time." Like that's always our opening message. But you give it, and if I'm ever opening up a conversation, you always seem to want to solve a problem or teach or train or add value. Like I think that must be a really important value of yours, because like even this conversation it's gone into like, here, let me show some value, let me teach something. I think is that something that's really important to you, to like teach or to impart wisdom? Do you care?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it feels
really
that
important.
way.
Yeah, I just think because actually, and it is partly selfish.
Yeah, okay.
Well, because I believe there's no such thing as a selfless act. I think that's very
Oh, do you?
yeah. In fact, I think it's a fact. I don't think that
Yes,
it's
in
a
fact,
fact.
you don't even think that's open for debate?
I mean,
Oh,
we can if you want. You'll lose because it's true.
oh, okay. Well, I mean, I like it. I like this. I'm
But
good.
let's stay on this thing about imparting wisdom.
You
And
saying that, yeah, and then we're
the
gonna
reason I what?
you talk about imparting wisdom, and then I'm gonna challenge the selfless, good deed thing.
Okay. Um. Good luck.
Yeah.
Uh, um. The imparting wisdom thing. What's really interesting is yes, you get to impart wisdom onto other people. But what you have to realize at some point is that most people don't take advice.
We got Mark says everyone has an MO. Okay, looks like we've got someone else on your back, on your side.
Yeah, I think most people, when you give advice, they don't take advice. They will consider it and then they'll sort of not do anything with it. That's just a pattern that happens. But when you give advice, it's a bit like when you write. Like I wrote a book and it's not out yet. It's not anywhere near ready. But one of the things that's interesting about when you write a book about something you care about or something you're an expert in or something you've worked on is the same as when you give any advice, which is giving advice is a good way of you understanding the topic more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
It,
so do you process through speech?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, me too, actually.
I
Sometimes I
can't
say
I
something like,
can't create in a vacuum. I can't create just like go
yeah,
be creative.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Generally, it's like through a conversation of, oh, isn't it like every framework, pretty much every framework that we teach at Email Marketing Heroes, or I talk about personally, or even like frameworks for life about how
Mm,
you run
mm.
your finances or how you think about relationships or whatever. All of that is usually for me developed through conversations and going, actually, I think it's more like this. And oh, yes, it is. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
develop.
So it's like,
They're organic rather than trying to, and that kind of goes back to what almost full circle to what we talked about at the beginning of this, which is the answer, the framework is inside of the marble. It's already inside of there. You've just got to dig for it.
yes, I see
A
what you're
lot of
saying.
people think, oh, I've got to come up with my framework. No, the truth is you have a process for doing the thing you do.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All you have to do is unearth that and carefully lay
Yes,
out the framework in a way that makes sense and is sensible.
I completely agree with that. I think unless that's practically what I do with my job. I'm like, I'm totally useless because I'm just helping them see what's in them. So I kind of like, I just I unfuzz things for people. It's like, this is all you. But I love that. I love that expression you said earlier about the Michelangelo taking away everything that wasn't the David. I'm like, yeah, that's what I really feel like that is
Yeah.
what art is. It's just taking away everything that's not the thing, and that's repeated a lot. So the value is inside the person. You're through processing, you are accessing that value in a selfish way.
Well, it's selfish because yes, I'm giving the person advice, but actually, when you give advice, one, you get to feel smart and valuable, and
Oh, okay.
you get to process that and come up with the answer, come up with a new format, a new framework, a new methodology. So it serves you.
So that doesn't mean it's selfish, though, just because it's self-serving.
It doesn't mean it's what?
It doesn't mean it's selfish because it's self-serving. It's
No,
like,
but what I said was there's no such thing as a selfless act.
well, what does that? Okay, well, what does that mean then? Maybe I agree with you, and then
Yeah, I mean,
it
you
answers.
can't do anything which is completely selfless.
I think that's different, though. That's a bit of a caveat. There's no selfless. Now it's like no, completely selfless. Like okay, like that's like a
Everything you do, like, I like to carry, some cash in my pocket
mm,
to give to a homeless person.
mm.
Why do I do that? Well, because I feel good once I've given a donation to that homeless person.
But do you
Or
not think? Here's the thing. Do you not think that the selflessness is rewarded? So it feels good to be selfless. So then, therefore, the act of being selfless just feels good.
no, but because
Because so you're saying you do something selfless because it feels good.
which is not selfless.
Yes, but I'm arguing is that what if the reason you feel good is not you're not doing something selfless because it feels good, but that's a byproduct of doing something selfless because a truly selfless act will make you feel good. Like I feel like if you are really selfless and you do something that's like very kind and very not self-sacrificing, because I do think sometimes you can throw yourself on a spike, right? Like, oh, I'm such a generous, kind person. But if you really are selfless, the sense of pride is really big. And you can feel a great sense of pride.
And that's where the self-serving
But that's
comes.
not why you do it.
Well, not on a conscious level, but on a subconscious level,
Ah.
your brain will know that if I do these kind of behaviors, I am later going to feel good.
But is that the reason why you do it? It's
Yeah,
just
because our decisions are controlled by our subconscious minds, not our
I
conscious
agree with
minds.
that. I agree with that. But that's a subconscious conclusion. It's not the only subconscious conclusion, right? So your subconscious could also be drawn to doing a selfless thing, not just because it feels good, but because I don't know, there's some meaning in it in some way, right?
Give me an example of a selfless act that is truly selfless.
Um Well, it's not necessarily the act because I can say any selfless act, right? But it's more about the intent, like it's more about the why, right? Am I doing this selfless act to feel good? Or am I doing a selfless act despite the fact it might not feel good because um I don't know, I care about something, right? Like sometimes caring about things and being passionate about things and putting like doing things, it could actually feel really bad. So there is actually a bad feeling sometimes associated with like like selflessness, right? So doing something selfless doesn't just result in a good feeling of pride. Sometimes it can feel like you've lost something. Like you can be very generous and like, I gave my sister money for a deposit. It was quite painful. It took me a lot to save up for that. And I don't really think I got a huge amount of pride from it. I didn't really care about the pride or anything like that. Like I maybe felt good because I felt like she could have stability. But again, that's her. I wanted her to have that stability. I wanted her to have a house. I didn't care whether she paid it back or not, although I trusted that she would. And I felt a lot of the times really bad about that because I really kind of stitched myself up. But I kind of put what she needed above my own needs. Um,
Why did you do it then?
Well, yeah, because well, I guess because her being stable would make me feel good. You could say that. Yeah, okay. But it's not the only thing it made me feel, right? Like it made me also feel terrible in some ways. Actually,
But
yeah.
if the feeling of terrible
Mm.
was greater than the potential for feeling good, you wouldn't have done it. For example, if that wasn't your sister,
Only
then
if there isn't a I think a guiding principle, right? Like if you've got a guiding principle where you're like, I'm going to follow a moral compass, for example. Like I'm going to put my faith into something. I think that's where faith comes in, right? If you put your faith into something, you'll take yourself out of it, and then you'll be I feel like you're guided towards selflessness with little reward. And sometimes you, well, no, I don't know. Yeah, hopefully.
yeah, and the word faith becomes really tricky then as well, because I think the word faith is often misused, and that faith is supposed. So a lot of people will use faith as in you've just got to believe, even if
Yeah.
there's no proof. But actual fact, if you look at the origins of the word faith, which is quite interesting,
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
well, faith is actually, if you go back to like how it's used in the Bible, for example, I think that's a really good way of
Mm.
looking at the word faith. It's what really happens is that God in the Bible talks about, not that I'm an expert in the Bible, by the way, just
I've been intrigued. I was like, is this another string to your bow?
no, not even remotely. But what's interesting about the word, because I often hear this idea we've got to have faith in the thing and faith in the thing and whatever. But the faith thing is, faith is a thing that has to be proven. That is the point of it. And I think a lot of people just use faith as this. Well, you've got to. You,
Mhm.
I think just trust in the thing. Well, you can trust in the thing as long as
Yeah, you need to, yeah, I do actually
you
agree
need
with
some
that because
evidence of why you
yeah,
should trust it. Like if
faith
I say, "Hey, there's this guy I've never met,
yeah,
and he lives out of the country, but he needs 50 quid." Um, there's no reason for you to have faith. There's no proof there.
yeah, okay,
There's no
okay.
reason for you to trust, and there's very low chance of you getting anything back from that. I think it then becomes tricky.
Yeah, okay. Um, so I like that because I do think that's true. Like I feel like faith is a bit of an experiment. Here's a question: do you have faith?
Do I have faith in what?
Well, that's a broad question. I'm intrigued about like what your answer to that is.
Do I have faith?
Mm.
I don't know. I swing right across that spectrum of not really knowing. I think it's interesting. I read a book by a guy called Lee Strobel called "The Case for Christ,"
Mm.
which is a historical investigation into whether Jesus Christ could have lived.
I'm
Uh,
so interested in that right at the moment. It's so interesting, like that you've brought that up.
yeah, it's really interesting. I tried to read it, and because of dyslexia, I find it really difficult to read. But I got the audiobook, and it's really interesting. And then
Mm.
there was the second book, I think, is called "A Case for Faith," I think, and
Mm.
it is all very interesting. And what makes it extra interesting for me is one of the things I did when I was doing the mind readery thing is I was asked by the BBC to do a television show. It's the only bit of TV I've done because I didn't enjoy the experience. But
Okay.
it it was about where they would film psychics, people pretending to be psychic who
Okay.
they believed they weren't. And my job was to watch the footage. So you would like one scene was like me watching the footage on a laptop of this psychic pretending to be psychic, and then I would say actually this person doesn't need to be psychic to do this. They could use a technique called, and whatever the technique was called, and then I would go into the street or wherever and I would use the same technique on a complete stranger and I would replicate the same effect. So the challenge I have with a lot of faiths, a lot of belief
Mythbuster.
systems or religions or whatever you want to call them, belief system, whatever, is that a lot of the accounts of
Mm.
historic um, either miracles or proof elements of the faith existing could be faked, and I would know pretty easily how to fake all of them.
Mhm.
But that
Mm.
doesn't mean they were faked.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's really interesting.
So, not sure. Is that the answer?
I think 3 years ago, I was absolutely an atheist, and I was like, "There's no way there's anything else."
Interesting.
Yeah,
Wow. Full on atheist.
I was, and now I would consider myself agnostic.
Okay. Okay.
If it was a Facebook status, it would be, "It's complicated."
Right. Okay. And like, if what about if you had to put you have to put money on it, or you have to put your life on it. You have to put your life on it.
Well, the Christians will have you believe you do have to put your life on it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, that's not really useful because I was like, you're gonna have to put a light up on it. There is no God, or there is a God, or I don't know.
I
It's not a
think
question.
statistically, it's more likely there is.
Yeah, yeah. I'm in this camp. I've only recently joined this camp.
Yeah.
Oh, and interestingly, what was it that shifted me? You know what? I read the Surrender Experiment recently. Have you read it? I listen to audiobooks, as by the way. Like I actually listen, and I'll often read as well because I struggle with reading. I'm not dyslexic. I just don't read. I just don't read very well, which is weird because I'm a writer. But you know, whatever, it is what it is. But I read this. I read as a surrender experiment, and I don't know. I always talk about this on streams, but so I won't go too much into it now. But Cordelia and I have been doing like a lot of mindset work over the last few years, which has been a process of basically deconstructing the self and the ego. I've been doing that, and I'm still doing that. It's an ongoing process, which I believe will eventually stop. I do believe there's like an end to that, which is when you just have unending peace. But you know, until that point, I would just wrestle with human problems. And so I read the Surrender Experiment, and it was really great because I kind of read a lot of stuff about manifestation, and I've done all the practicing and I've done all the things, but I just didn't feel comfortable with it. Like, and maybe I've got it wrong, but I always felt like it's like I don't feel like just because I think about something, the universe wants to deliver it to me. I just don't think that's like, why would this insanely intelligent force just give me what I want? Like, why would it do that? It didn't feel like, it just didn't seem right to me. Anyway, so I read the Surrender Experiment, and his whole concept is like, basically he was exploring spirituality, and he was exploring, whatever. And he then decided that he would follow life and take preference out of it. And so when life shows up, you just participate in what life presents, regardless of your preference. Your preference has nothing to do with it. So if something here's a really great example, which is really weird, actually. I had, I spoke about this earlier. I had someone apply to be a copywriter for us. I didn't put out an advert. I didn't do anything, whatever. But this girl emailed us and said, here's your landing page, and here's how I can make it better. And I was like, fabulous. Okay, well, this is a great pitch. I wasn't sure, if I was ready to bring on a copywriter. I was, I just wasn't sure. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all the things. I kind of ignored it. And somehow I ended up on a call with this girl. And I was like, I didn't know why I was on this call with her. I was like, is this a sales call or whatever? She's like, no. And she basically managed to somehow get Jennifer to book her in with a call with me. I would have been, I'm really terrible with like follow up, and I would have just like, I don't know, I wouldn't have done it. So I was like, right, brilliant. Okay. But I just didn't want to train her. And I just was like, and then the package, she wanted to work for free. And I was like, look, because she had no experience, and she just wanted testimonials. And I was like, considering I'd seen that she could do some copywriting. Now, yes, she used AI, but still, I'm like, I know that there's some tenacity in that. I was like, well, if you're working for me, I'm not going to do that. But this is amazing. Like, she's really wanting to work with me, and she also said she wanted mentorship as well. She's like, if I just learn, if I just gain some skills. And I was like, this is, amazing. But I just was like, I don't have the time to really invest in her. I don't have this, that, the other. And so I sort of was kind of like, yeah, we'll do something. And I was kind of dragging it out. And she was messaging me constantly. Like, this was one of the things I was like, this girl is on it. But I remember, so I read the Surrender Experiment, which is literally like, when life gives you what you need, or gives you what its plan is for you, and it's just your job to accept it. And I think I got stressed about it one day, like thinking, fucking hell, I need a copywriter. And I was like, I've literally got one banging on my door, like offering her services for free. I don't know what else I need. What more of a sign do I need? And it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to stop resisting that and just assume, because what I was nervous about was, I was like, I'm gonna have to train her on so much, my brand voice, my tone, my style, this, that, the other. And I have been working with her on posts, and it does take a lot of work to train that stuff. I mean, I assume you've got some experience in that. It's hard to give someone that agency, and it's very complicated and it's kind of nuanced. But I was like, my preference is to keep just doing it myself, because that's the kind of like easier thing than training someone up. And I've got this launch happening and I've got these clients to deal with. So I don't have time. I need this copy out. I need this done. I need this things done. Da, da, da. I need this social media post done, blah, blah, blah. So my preference is I will do it myself. But I was like, you know what? If my preference isn't out of it and I'm just participating in what's being given to me, then I will just work with this girl and train her up. And it is amazing working with her. She is so hardworking. She's so on it. She is so responsive. I give her feedback. And every time I've had to give her feedback, it's always because the brief I've given her is not detailed enough or is missing something. Because I can see, it's almost like she's a reflection of what my brief is missing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, brilliant. So I'm tweaking it. I just think, I mean, that was just an example of where I was like, okay, I'm just going to surrender. And the whole purpose of that is that it's like life will give you the cues, and that there's a plan for you that your preference has nothing to do with. And you can just go with the plan of life. Your life will be really great. That was the whole sort of kind of premise of the surrender experiment. And it's an amazing story. This guy wanted to hibernate in a little, what's it called? Like a little hut, right? And just meditate for his whole life. And he wanted to be in solitary confinement, basically. And he ended up building $1 billion business. And he just says, I didn't. I just followed the cues. And it's like this unfolding. And there's like parts where there's like, he said there's some wild things that happens, and he's just like, I'm just going to let go. So there's no manifesting or whatever. It's just like a trusting in a higher power to sort of deliver you. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm on a bit of a tangent there.
It's interesting though, like you say, like I think, but also like the counter argument to it, the whole people say, like things in on Earth are so beautiful, like it has to have been by design. And what are the chances that we would end up here, living in this thing? And the chances, I have problems with both of those arguments.
Yeah, they're flawed.
They're very flawed. The problem for me with what's the chances of it being here are, well, they're infinite, because we don't know how many versions of this there are out in the multiple universes. So that's flawed for that. I'm being very shallow on that, but that's the summation of that. And then the thing about, if these things are beautiful, they have to have been made by a creator. Well, how have we decided what beauty is?
That's interesting as well. It is quite subjective, isn't it? And also, terrible things can be made by people. Like things that are hideous also can be made have a creator.
They can, but if you look at nature, their point is like, flowers are so beautiful, and the sunset is so beautiful, and but isn't that just because of what we're being conditioned to go, oh, that is beautiful?
Poverty is nature, right? Like it's under the same umbrella.
Well, there's a whole thing around that. If you get to read The Case for Christ and The Case for Faith,
I will. That's going to be next.
Those two books are interesting because they do talk in detail about, well, there's all these objections to the Bible and to God, and there's a lot to do with one of the things that we've been given, according to these accounts, is choice. Yes. And also, for us to understand what good is, we have to know what bad is. Otherwise, what is good? Yeah,
but these to me seem like really good. And I'm really interested in this topic as well, and I'm definitely not in resistance to the Bible or to Jesus or to Christianity or anything. I'm kind of I'm really open, actually. They seem like really weak arguments to me. It seems like, well, we need some kind of explanation for unjustifiable cruelty. Free choice. And I'm under the impression
and for me
free choice
that argument probably potentially hasn't, giving people the benefit of the doubt, probably hasn't come up from that cynical view of, oh, we need to justify this. It's probably come from clever people who are completely in belief, going, well, if God is good, why would he? And
Yeah.
trying to find rationale where there is none. I want to just read this. Religious doctrine requires blind faith to surrender oneself to the word of the Lord, to believe you, the Savior. Roman Catholics and so on never question the scripture. So that will there be free will? Well, I read something else though, Mark, which is interesting about God saying, test me, basically.
I'm in belief of that. Like, I read this book, right, and someone gave me this book, which is about, like, I don't know, Bible and stuff like that, and it said one of the tenets of Christianity is that the Bible is the ultimate authority, and I was like, yeah, but it's not. It's just an interpretation. Like, let's assume there's a God, then everything that's made is from God, including the Bible, but it's still not pure God, right? Like, God, if you want to have God would be the ultimate authority. The Bible is just a representation of what has been filtered through a person from God. So it's still filtered. So it's
It's also filtered from time. It's filtered through then
it is very
translation.
timeless, though. I mean, there are some things, like that didn't really stand the test of time. But there are some things in it.
But there's also the problem with translation, right?
Mm,
So just last night I was having a conversation about the fact that Jesus
mm.
wasn't called Jesus.
I can't say it. How it's said differently though, isn't it? Or is it
No,
completely?
it's not even spelt like that.
Yeah, it's spelled. I know it's not spelt like that, but like Hosea or something like that.
Yeah.
So interesting. I wasn't expecting us to get into the religion.
No, I wasn't either.
I love this topic though.
It's basically closer to Joshua. It's Yesaya.
Yes, Yesaya.
And I was interested to see why that was the case. And the reason was because when they translated it, let me get this the right way around. When they translated it into Greek,
No, the stories of Jesus was written in Greek. So the Old Testament was written in Hebrew.
in Greek, yes, but then there was something to do with the fact there was no Y sound or sh sound in the Latin or something. Actually, it might even be in this
So
thing.
the New Testament was written in Greek originally, ancient Greek,
Mm.
and then the Old Testament was written in Hebrew, but there was probably more languages in the Old Testament. But I'm pretty sure the New Testament was
Name is shortened from which is
Greek.
yeah. So I think Yeshua, which is a shortened version of Yehoshua, which I'm obviously pronouncing horribly. I apologize. Which means salvation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's ironic, isn't it?
So yeah, but then what happens is a lot of this messaging.
Okay, Steve.
I
lost it.
The messaging of all of this, then if just that name can be like completely with translation, by the time it gets to English, I mean,
I did read a good argument for this though, that they still have the texts, so it's only needs to be translated like once. Like it wasn't translated from Greek to Old English, from Old English to whatever. It's not gone through multiple translations. There are still the original texts.
Right. So and again, this is what's really interesting in those books by Strobel is he talks about these exact things. He talks about the time after Jesus's birth and when the accounts were written down. Again, obviously, the shorter that time is, the more accurate they could be and won't be the victims of hearsay. Quite interesting. Quite interesting.
Yeah,
it's interesting whether you want to believe in it or not. Like, it's just interesting to know where all this stuff comes from.
I think so. Yeah. I got that as well. So I watched a Joe Rogan episode where he has this Christian apologist, I think it's called, on. And then they talked about how he got into a debate with someone who was like pro conspiracy theory, pro aliens, like aliens from Mars were the reason we're here, and this like story. And this guy, so it went viral. His name was, it's Billy something, who is like a conspiracy theorist who's quite popular on YouTube. And this guy who's an academic on the Bible sort of had a bit of a debate with him, and he just totally annihilated the conspiracy theorists. He completely, the guy didn't even really argue back. He was just like, well, okay, you might be right on that, and then moved on to this other point. And like I'm not, and that's not evidence that the aliens
No, and what we have to be careful of here is the difference between facts and people who are good at placing a good argument.
Well, yeah, it doesn't mean that one's true or not, but what I found really appealing to it was the logical one was the one who was in favor of Christianity, and the one who had no logical argument and seemed less, well, he just seemed full of shit, to be honest. It's like, well, you're like, so for instance, one of the things he did was he quoted a book that has been historically proven to be fraud. He's like, well, it says in this book in the Bible, and this guy is like, no scholar worth his salt thinks that is a reliable source. It's been clearly proven as a fraudulent. That is very widely agreed. And so it's like, well, that would be quite you'd hope that someone researching and arguing a point would know something that's quite well documented about fraud. You wouldn't want them to reference a fraud text. So that was what I found really compelling and interesting about it, was that the guy who seemed really reasonable and really like, he wasn't argumentative. He was really just open. And I think that was the thing as well, because he's Christian, he's got Christian values. So he seemed like a good person. So I was like, well, that's cool. So that made me much more interested. He did a good job there. He got me interested in the Bible, but in a really in a really intellectual way, I'll say. Like at the very least, it really opened me up to like an intellectual pursuit of the Bible, because I'm like, oh, well, that's really fast. Because now I'm like, oh, I've never thought about this. Let's make a case for whether Jesus was real or not. What a great thing to look into. Like the history of it is so interesting, and like it's a lot of testimonies and stuff. So yeah, I got well into that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to have to go on this very deep and philosophical note, but it's very interesting reading to just go and investigate this stuff. And I think that the thing I realized was I was what I would call a ignorant non-believer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
me too.
Rather, because I just never even spent the time to go and have a look at any of it.
Yeah.
I just thought, well, it can't be true. It can't be pigs in the sky, obviously.
Yeah. I have that as well. I've got such I could actually talk about this for ages. Maybe we'll do another one day. Really weird parallel universe of like, let's talk about Jesus on a video stream. Like, it's so weird that's where we go. But I feel like you have like a real intellectual interest in it because of the historical yeah. And also it's interesting in a spiritual sense as well. It's really interesting. Well, I wish I had like music that could outro you. But I've got a little outro dance. You do that singing again.
No, it's not happening.
No, okay, fine. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Mark, for interacting. It was a really quiet stream today, and I'm a bit nervous that was my fault because I did the caption wrong. But nonetheless, thank you so much for your time and your energy and for imparting more wisdom as always. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Mark says, thanks, guys.
Oh, thanks, Mark. You've been a treat. Thanks for
participating. You have. Oh, he's very talented. He's a wordsmith, like, yeah, no other. Okay, well, thanks everyone.
Catch you later.
Catch you later. Bye.